If statements are a fascinating structure because in effect what they allow you to do is enable your programs to make decisions. And that is, your programs can take different actions depending on what happens. So let's take a very simple example. Let's take a situation where you're going to enter the total number of points on a test. Okay, so the total number of points, let's say, is 150, and let's say there's 105 points that was correct. Therefore, the percentage correct was 70%. And what we want to do is print a message depending on the condition of the situation. Well, since the person got 70%, we probably don't want to say good job. So if you look at the flow as we go through this, first we calculate, we input the total number of points and the number correct. Then we print the percentage correct so the student knows what the percentage is, so we print the 70%. Then we have a decision, and this is where the if statement comes in. The if statement says, is the percent correct greater than 90%? If it is, we're going to print good job. But if it isn't, we don't want to print that, so we're just going to stop the program. So this is a simple example, but it gives you an idea of how your programs can make decisions by using an if statement. You'll also notice that there's different roots here. In effect, that triangle, or diamond shape rather, allows us to actually go one direction or the other, and graphically that is depicted as the if statement. So what if you need more than one situation? What if you need more than one path? Well, an if-else statement allows your program to actually take two different paths, and that path will depend on whether the condition is true or false. So the true condition is taken when the condition is true, but the else path is taken when the condition is false. So if you look at the flow chart to the right, again, based on the same situation that we had earlier, we enter the total number of points. So again, let's say it's 150. The number correct was 105, and then we print the percentage correct, which in this case again was 70%. Well, if the percentage correct was greater than 90%, then we're going to print good job. But in this situation, again, the else condition will occur because the condition is false, and that is the percentage correct was not greater than 90%. So therefore, we're going to print keep studying, and then we'll stop the program. So we can take this even to the next level, and that is what's called an if-elif else statement. Now, this is the most complicated, but it's commonly used because often you have more than just two conditions. You may have three or more. So the word elif may seem to be strange, but the elif is short for else if. So in other words, it allows you to handle the false condition, but also put an additional condition on the false condition. So again, if you look at this flow chart, we start again with the total number of points. Again, 150, and the number correct was 105. We print the percentage correct, which is 70%, and then we get to the first diamond. The diamond says, is the percent correct greater than or equal to 90? And we know that's false because it's 70%. So we don't print great job. Instead, we follow the false path. The false path takes us to the elif condition. The elif condition says, is the percentage greater than 80%? And again, the situation is false because as we know, the percentage correct was 70%. So we take the else path, which prints keep studying, and then the program ends. And finally, we have a very common situation which all students are familiar with, and that is the evaluation of a final grade. So in this situation, we have multiple elif conditions, but this also allows us to handle the situation where we have multiple situations that need to be evaluated. So again, we enter the final score. Is the score greater than or equal to 90%? If it is, the grade becomes an A, and we output the grade. If it's false, then we check whether the score is greater than or equal to 80%. If it is, the grade becomes a B, and again, we print out the grade. If the score is not greater than or equal to 80, then we check the condition of whether or not the score is greater than or equal to 70. If it is, the grade's a C, and again, we output the grade. The final elif condition is whether or not the score is greater than or equal to 60%. If it is, we assign grade a D, and we output the grade. But the final condition also has an else condition, which handles the situation where the score is less than 0.6, and that's when the grade, of course, becomes an F, and we output the grade. Within Visual Studio, let's take a look at how an if statement might be executed. This is the same situation that I showed you in the PowerPoint slides, but now we're going to actually implement it in Python. So the first situation is we enter the total number of points, and we assign that to points. Then we ask for the total number correct, and we assign that to number correct. You'll notice in both situations, since we're dealing with points, presumably the points can only be whole numbers, so I've converted those to integers. In line 5, we calculate the student's score, which is the number correct, and we divide it by the total number of points. And that should give us the percentage. And then we print the score. And you'll notice we're rounding it to two decimal places. In line 9 is our if statement. We check whether or not the person's score is greater than 0.9, and if it is, we print great job. If it isn't, then we check whether or not the score is greater than 0.8. And if it is, we print good job. Otherwise, we print keep studying. So let's try this and let's execute the program. Enter the total number of points. Let's use the example that we had in the PowerPoint. We'll say 150, and the number of points correct was 105. You'll notice the printout is keep studying. Now because the percentage was lower than the needed 0.8. So let's try it again, but let's try it with a higher number. Let's run it and enter the total number of points. Let's say it's 150, and let's say the person did very well. Let's say they got 145 points. In that situation, it says great job. The score is 0.97, and therefore the printout is great job, which corresponds to the if statement in line 9. In effect, the if statement in line 9 evaluated to be true. It printed great job, but you'll notice the result skips line 11, 12, and 13, because if line 9 evaluates to be true, it will skip the rest of the structures. It will only print great job. It will not print good job or keep studying. In our final example that I presented on the PowerPoint slides, let's take a look at how we actually could do letter grades. Again, if I enter the person's score, and this is, let's say, the final score in the class, that's going to be a value between 0 and 100, or 1.00. If the score is greater than 0.9, then of course, the grade is going to be an A. Elif, that is otherwise, if the score is greater than 0.8, the grade is going to be a B. Elif, the score is greater than 0.7, the grade is going to be a C. Elif, the score is greater than 0.6, the grade is a D. If line 9 is false, that means that the score is less than 0.6, so therefore the grade will be an F. You'll notice line 14 then prints out the score, and it will print the grade as well. Let's go ahead and run the program and see how it looks. Enter the final score. Let's say they got an 85%, and we'll enter 0.85. Hit return. You'll notice that the final grade is a B. Let's run it again. This time, let's say it's 0.65, and we enter, and you'll see that the grade is a D. You'll notice in both cases that when the condition becomes true, the rest of the lines after that condition do not execute. In the situation where I entered 0.85, the condition on line 5 was successful, so it did not evaluate or execute the lines 7, 8, and 9, 7 through 12 rather. Instead, because line 5 was correct and evaluated to be true, it assigned the grade to a B, and then it jumped down to line 14. When I assigned the score of 0.65, the condition on line 3 was false, condition on line 5 was false, the condition on line 7 was false, but the condition on line 9 was true. So therefore, grade was set to be a D. It skips then the else statement on line 11, and it prints the result.